Hi guys, welcome to Alpha Developer. Today we're going to be looking at managing NuGet packages. And essentially what I want to do is run through what we are trying to achieve. How does NuGet packages play that role, and essentially what NuGet packages are made up of, and how do we use them in Visual Studio. And I'll share an example at the end of this, which hopefully links in and helps you code better in the future. Okay, so as software developers, we we want to reuse code, and really it's essential that we reuse other people's code in a modern life that we live as software developers. And the in fact, if nobody shares the code with anyone, then you're not living a healthy life. You're having burnouts. You probably are just a bad coder, I would say. So if you don't share your code, you essentially or use other people's code, you're probably doing it wrong, and you shouldn't be a software developer, is my view. So really, if you ask me, sharing code is the cornerstone of a healthy development community, and we must do it. And the reason we would do it is because other people have written extremely useful code libraries that we want to be able to bring into our application, the wealth of functionality into our application, and we just want to hook it up, link it together, and make it available in our application. So that's really what we want to do: code reuse, bring other people's code in our environment and use it. So as software developers, how do we achieve this? And how do we achieve this specifically in Visual Studio? So within Visual Studio, you get a solution called NuGet and NuGet packages. And it's really an essential tool that lets you create, share, and consume really useful code written by other developers. And you can, of course, create your own. And what these NuGet packages are, it's nothing more than a simple zip file, a compressed file with .nupkg extension, which is the NuGet package extension. And within that zip file, the container, it contains a DLL, it contains a manifest, and within that manifest, you have information such as the version number of the NuGet package. You have like the title, description, or any other useful kind of metadata about the NuGet package. And the packages are uploaded on a website called NuGet.org. But Visual Studio makes it very easy for you to be able to use NuGet packages within its development environment. So you don't have to download manually through the website. There's a built-in tool within Visual Studio to be able to use it. And we'll look at how, now we'll look at how to use an existing NuGet package that somebody else has created in and bring that functionality into our own project. Of course, NuGet packages are, when you upload them on NuGet.org, they're public, but there is a way to create a manual private feed. So if your company does not allow, sharing of NuGet packages um, across the web, maybe it's copyright code, you can actually create NuGet packages for your own company, private company, so that it's only available to some people. And again, if I, at some point later on, if I get a chance to do a tutorial on that, I will upload it. Okay, so using NuGet packages within your projects is what I want to demonstrate, so you get a feel of what they are. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a Windows Form application, and all we want to do is bring on a couple of controls on there to demonstrate the functionality of a NuGet package. And the NuGet package that we're going to look at is basically to encrypt and decrypt passwords. So often you have a situation where you want to encrypt the information and you want to be able to decrypt it, and you want to test if both pieces of information match. So essentially we want that functionality pre-made for us. We don't want to write it ourselves. We'll let a NuGet package, a code that basically a library that somebody else has written, and use that in our own project. So I will demonstrate this to you with a simple project. So let's get started. So what we're going to do is we've selected C# Windows in there. We have selected a desktop environment in there. So that's the one. That's desktop application. And we want to select the Windows Form application in there. So we will now click Next here, and we'll call this NuGet Test Application 1. So this is our first tutorial, so I will call it NuGet Test Application 1. Okay, I will then hit Create. Okay, so once I've created this, of course you have your normal Visual Studio layout. So within the Solution Explorer, within this aspect of it, what we're going to do is we're going to right click on the NuGet Test Application. Okay, so after we clicked on the title of the project within our solution, you've got Manage NuGet Packages. Okay, and within here, you've got Browse, Update in there. So these are installed packages. It highlights automatically, so there's none. But if I browse and if I search for a NuGet package in here, and the one that I want is Encrypt. I already sort of searched for it before and used it many times before. So this one is Elysium Crypt encryption, utility for encrypting, validating encrypted data. Also includes methods for encrypt, decrypt using the Ringedale methods, and generates secure string objects. Okay, so what we want to do is this version over here is version 1.5, and you've got versions 1.4, 3. So you can actually essentially bring any version of the application of this NuGet package into your own project. So if 1.4 worked for us, we can use 1.5. If something was changed at 1.5 and it broke our code, so it didn't work anymore, we can go back to using 1.4. So that's the advantage of NuGet packages. You can quickly switch between them. So I will select version 1.5 stable, and I will click install. You'll get Visual Studio asking that you're about to make changes to the solution. Click OK to proceed. So I will click OK on there. So now what we can do is we can go back to our form, and essentially nothing has changed, other than if you look at under references, you will see that there's a new reference down there. Down there. So you've got a new reference. Elysium Encrypt. Okay. And what we want to do with this okay, so we've got our Elysium Encrypt there. I added in the reference automatically. So what we want to do next is, let's say we want to encrypt password. We want to store that encrypted password in our database, and then later on, of course, when the user logs in, we want to verify that that password is valid. So essentially, what we'll do then is we'll create, to replicate that environment, we'll just create a text box. Say this is just a demo application um, to show you the functionality of a NuGet package. So we'll grab a text box. We'll do 2, and then we'll do 3. Okay. Okay. So we've got 3 text boxes. We also want to bring in a button over here. Okay, and we want to bring in a button over here. So what you can see there is text box 1, text box, let's move that here, text box 2, and we've got text box 3. Okay, and really what we want to do is within this, if I just go and change the name of this, sorry, the text. So let's just change the text of this is save. Let's call that save. Let's call this button check. Okay. Okay, so we've got, I'm not going to bother naming the buttons and the text boxes. So we've got this, and what we want to do is we want to save that password. Once it's entered, encrypt it and save it into our database, and then check it here. So essentially what we want to do is so essentially what we want to do is we want to be able to save the password into the database. So we want to be able to put our password into our database up there. So that goes up there. And then when we want to check the password, the user enters the password here, and essentially we want to compare it against the encrypted password there and see if they match. And that's the purpose of this demo. So, okay, so let's get started on that. So under the save button, what we want to do is we want to be able to take the password in text box 1 and put it into text box 2. That's our database. Think of it as storing it somewhere in your database. And later on, we want to check that. So let's write our code in here. So we'll use, so essentially by adding using in here, using our library was called, if I stop this, so Elysium. So if we do Elysium dot crypt, okay, and that just makes our code easier to type. Okay, so within here, now what we're going to do is we're going to do text box 2 is equal to crypto, which basically comes from there. So I could have easily typed Elysium, Elysium dot crypt dot crypto dot and you can see that there's encrypt data method in there, and that this method basically takes a string, which is text box 1 dot text. Okay, and that's simple as that. So that's our line of code. So as you can uh, see here, so I'll just return the text. So that's where we want to store it. Um, this bit, um, it's not really needed. So it's recommending that you using the namespace Elysium. Name can be simplified. So what we can do is show potential fixes, simplify this name, and after we do this, you can see it's removed this part. So if I go back to my application, give me a sec. So essentially, if I go to the code for the form, this part over here is this part over there. So in this case, because we've put it there, we don't need to put that here. So because that's up there. So it's just shortening the code. So I will now let Visual Studio do that. So if I highlight this bit and it's saying potential fixes, so we can, yeah, we're happy with this simplified. So it just removes that aspect. So I just leave the crypto bit in there. So I'll redo that. Okay, okay. So that's it. So our password is now encrypted. So if we were to run our application now, and I will show you the application. So you can see I could call this password hello, save, and that's hello in the encrypted form. So the next question is, somebody types hello in here. We want to be able to click that, and it says they match or they don't. So essentially, what we need to do is within our form, we need to bring in a label. So let's bring in our label. Let's make that font a bit bigger. So let's change the size to 16. Okay, and there you go. And within here, what we want to do is we want to be able to test our password and see if it matches. So what we can do is we can type in an if statement, and we can say our condition. So so I'm going to use crypto again. I don't have to type Elysium dot crypt. I can just type crypto. I can then there's a method in here, validate encrypted data. Okay, and this takes in, you can see it takes in two parameters. It takes in two parameters arguments in here, value to validate, encrypted value. Okay, so value to validate is our text box 3 text. So that's the password the user has just entered. And where is the password saved in our database? Well, we've stored it in a text field at the minute. So text box 2 has that. And that's essentially what we want to check. Okay, so if our password matches, then essentially what we want to do is, so let's just close this function off. Okay, so if our password matches, we just want to be able to set the label text, as matches. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll write an else statement. Okay, and we'll say label dot text because no match. Okay, and we can put semicolons, and that's pretty much our code. So if we run this now, and if I bring this here, so let's store our password, hello, in lowercase, and if I type hello in there, check, and you can see it matches. Hello 1 does not match, um, even capital O at the end does not match, lowercase o matches, with a space, you can see it does not match. So that's pretty much it. So again, this functionality, you can see how easy it was. We basically brought in this encryption library, encrypted the code for us, encrypted the password for us, and the quite simple to use, 1 or 2 lines here, and we've got encryption functionality within our code without much effort. So that's essentially what NuGet packages are. So if we go to again manage NuGet packages, you can see we've got installed version 1.5 in there. And again, we could just change it to any version. So if we wanted 1.4 in here, that's essentially 1.4 is installed in our application, and it's telling you there, yeah, you could also upgrade. So you could upgrade that, and that's the latest one. But if you wanted to go back a version, you can just go to version 1.4, and we can test if version 1.4 worked with our application. So if I go here, essentially the same methods exist. So if I just run my application again, type the password visual in there, save, and we want to check if that matches visual, that matches visual 1, does not match. So essentially 1.4 works as well, and that's the encrypted text in there that's been stored. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Let's stored. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Like and subscribe for more. Again, I'll be doing plenty of hints and tips, expertise in getting started with Visual Studio and just helping you improve your coding environment and help you understand some of these, bits that you found quite hard to understand at first, hopefully with easy basic examples. So if you like this and you want to see more, please give any support you can by liking and subscribing and commenting for any feedback as well. Thank you. So yeah, and in the next one, hopefully, I will show you, if I get time in the future, how to create private NuGet packages, and other ways of installing NuGet packages within your application other than Visual Studio. But you can see it's pretty easy to install within there. So yeah, please like and subscribe and give you a thumbs up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. That will really support me, and I will continue to put out good content to help you learn faster. Thank you.